Hello. Today I'm going to go over our page 7 notes. But to start, we actually go to page 2 to finish some vocabulary. Two vocabulary words today. The first one is average velocity, velocidad media. On average, how much does the position change each second? So to do this, you just look at how far you went and you divide it by the total change in time. You don't actually care about how fast you're going at any point. You just care about beginning to end. How long did it take you? Well, in this case, we went from -3 meters to +3 meters. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's a typo. That's +6 in 3 seconds. Okay, well, that's an average velocity of 2 meters per second. Now, if I want the real velocities, what are the velocities at all of those middle times? So, not just beginning and end, but the real speeds, the real velocities. Well, that would be these things here. Those have a name. They're called the instantaneous velocities, velocidad instantánea. And it is the velocity at that moment. Don't worry how to find those. We'll cover that on page 7. But everything on this slide needs to be on page 2. All right. Ooh, that typo, it's just still there. All right. Now, page 7. Oh, sorry. This is an activity that we're doing in class where we reflected. Now, page 7. All about velocity. So here we got this position time data from last class. Here we got our graph from last class. What is the slope from the beginning to the end? Well, if you remember slope from math class, that is going to be the rise over the run. It's going to be how high up you go divided by how far over you go. And you're going to divide those two numbers. In this case, that gives me going up 5 meters and over 4 seconds. So in this case, 5 meters, 4 seconds gives me a slope, an average velocity of positive 1.25 meters per second. The slope from beginning to end is the average velocity. Now, what about the instantaneous velocities? Let's look at V1 from second 0 to second 1. How would we find V1? Well, the same way. You would do the rise over the run. But what if I don't want to read that graph? Well, you could also look at your data. Your rise is going to be from 0 to 0.5 meters, and your run is going to be from 0 seconds to 1 second. Okay, well, that means that's plus 0.5 meters per 1 second gives me positive 0.5 meters per second as my instantaneous velocity. If I then went and I found the velocities for the others, from second 1 to second 2, from 2 to 3, and from 3 to 4, I would find these velocities. So the big slope gives me average velocity. All the little slopes along the way give me the instantaneous velocities. More complicated than that in reality, but we don't care right now. This still gives us the right answer. All right, that just rephrases the definitions. Moving on. All right, now some examples from real life. In class, we will have reflected as a group already. Here are mine. My commute is 26 miles, takes 40 minutes. So my average velocity would be 39 miles per hour. Okay. But in reality, at 8 o'clock, if I look at my speedometer, it says 65 miles per hour. That would be my instantaneous. 39 is my average. 65 is how fast I'm actually going at 8 o'clock. Sometimes I'm going faster than 39. Sometimes I'm going slower than 39. But the average is 39, even though at moments it's different. All right, now, an important thing to know about velocity graphs. Here on the left, we got our position graphs from before. It's up top. We don't need to copy it again. If I took all those velocities, v1, v2, v3, v4, and I graphed it, it would look like that. My velocity graph will always be a straight line. It will never be a curve. Not in my class. It'll always be a straight line. All right, now there's stuff we can do with that. We just don't care right now. We just don't care right now. We will learn more about velocity graphs later. All right, now I got some practice problems for you. Here's the first one. You got xt data. Please find me the average velocity, v1, v2, v3. Show your work. This is on page 6. And then problem 2, different set of data, same deal. All right, there you go. We talked about page 2, we talked about page 7, and we talked about the examples on page 6. You're good to go.